Higher export demand to Mozambique can drive prices higher. Then we also take a look at price movements and forecasts for other key commodities on the fruit and vegetable markets of South Africa as we head closer to the festive season. All in this week's episode, which is brought to you by Zimmatic Irrigation Systems, so make sure to stay tuned. The rand stayed sideways on 17.56 rand against the US dollar despite the election results in the US over the past week. In the meantime, the US Federal Reserve lowered interest rates by 25 basis points, its second cut of 2024. Locally, our Reserve Bank is also expected to deliver another rate cut at its November meeting after the annual inflation rate dropped below the preferred 4.5% midpoint of the SARB's target range. The latest Brent crude oil price decreased to $73.91 per barrel on Monday as China is really struggling to get their economy going again. With a surplus expected next year, investors now turn to key market outlooks, beginning with OPEC on Tuesday, while uncertainty around Trump's new policies are still clouding any outlook forecast for next year as well. Today I'm thrilled to bring you an exclusive offer from Zimmatic. For a limited time, you can access significant discounts on their pivots, built tough for today's needs and adaptable for tomorrow's challenges. Zimmatic pivots are designed for efficiency, water conservation and optimized yield management. Don't miss this chance to invest in a system that's built to grow with you. Just send me a WhatsApp at 073-140-2698 with the keyword pivot to secure your discount today and take the next step towards sustainable, efficient farming. Grow with Zimmatic. Over the past week or two, the tension on the border with Mozambique influenced our market prices as well. We initially saw lower demand and lower prices on our markets. However, there is some reports indicating that the shelves are empty in Mozambique and that it can take up to 3 days to fill them again. This will of course result in higher demand in general this week for all commodities, which is likely to support most of our prices as well. We initially thought that we will see substantially lower prices this week, but this development can bring some relief to especially the potato prices over the next week or so. The average national potato price last week decreased as expected and traded on 63.23 rand per 10 kg and was about 34% lower than a year ago, while total volumes were about 10% higher year on year. Last week, large potato prices traded lower on 72 rand, mediums traded on 62 rand and smalls on 46 rand per 10 kg. Mondials traded lower on 63, while Cifras traded lower on 69 rand per 10 kg. As mentioned, we believe that the additional demand from Mozambique can drive prices higher this week, while the Limpopo region is also starting to finish, which can result in lower volumes to the markets. The rain over the past weekend can also result in slightly lower volumes, furthering the upward movement of the potato price. The average onion price dropped to 47.99 rand per 10 kg last week. Brown onions stayed on 47, red onions decreased to 72, while white onions stayed on 50 rand per 10 kg. Large onions traded on 44, mediums on 54, while smalls traded higher on 38 rand per 10 kg. We hope that the additional demand from Mozambique can pull some of the volumes away from the local markets and result in slightly higher prices, but we are still expecting prices to stay on a relatively lower level for the rest of this year. Tomato prices increased by 13% over the past week to 11.49 rand per kilogram, with volumes on a pretty much similar level compared to last week. Large tomatoes traded on 12.51 rand, mediums on 11.75 rand and smalls increasing to 10.93 rand. Under normal circumstances, we would expect a significant drop in prices this week due to lower middle month demand and volumes still on a higher level. However, the weather can play a role in delaying harvesting, likely lowering volumes, while additional demand expected from Mozambique can also result in prices to rather increase over the coming week. The carrot price decreased last week to R5.28 per kilogram, with volumes 2.5% higher over the past week. The price is now about 9% higher compared to a year ago, while volumes traded about 2% higher year on year. Large carrots traded on R5.73, mediums on R4.34 and smalls on R4.51 per kilogram. We're also expecting that the higher demand from Mozambique can support prices, while from next week onward we are expecting carrot prices to start trending upward for the festive season and then possibly reach a peak just before Christmas, and currently it looks like just below the R8 per kilogram mark. The average pepper price decreased to R12.86 per kilogram and is now about 29% lower than a year ago, while volumes traded 36% higher year on year. The drop in the price was driven by higher yellow and red pepper prices on the markets. In contrast, green pepper prices increased to 12.08 cents last week. Yellow pepper prices decreased by 37% to 12.20, while red pepper prices dropped by 33% to 14.50 per kilogram, which was driven by higher volumes. We still anticipate a continued downward trend in the average price in November, but the average price is likely to increase in December again and peak just before Christmas. The average cabbage price increased to R3.36 last week and can stay sideways until the middle of December and then possibly start to decrease into the new year. Garlic prices also fell to R50.76 per kilogram, while the average spinach price increased to R2.64 per kilogram. Spinach prices are likely to trade slightly higher over the next month, but higher volumes will most likely keep these prices below the R4 per kilogram mark. Sweet potato prices increased by 22% to R9.36 per kilogram. Pumpkin prices decreased to R12.31. Butternuts decreased to R4. Green beans decreased to R12 per kilogram, while the latest cucumber price increased to R10.91 per kilogram. If you would like to see more detail on these specific market commodities, please download our latest report on amtrends.co.za, which is of course free of charge. But with that, let's take a quick look at what happened in the fruit markets over the past week. The average banana price increased by another 2% to R14.23 per kilogram, or R256 per 18 kilogram box, and is now 14% higher than a year ago. We're still expecting prices to remain on this relatively higher level until the end of this year due to supply that can remain tight. All the out-of-season fruits jumped the past week, with apple prices increasing to R12.62. The pear price rose significantly to R14.61 per kilogram. The latest orange price also increased, trading on R11.83, while the avocado price jumped by another 9% to R32.23 per kilogram, which is now 52% higher compared to a year ago. Viertuis increased to 39, Haas on 30 and Pinkertons on R32 per kilogram. Avo prices are expected to continue in this upward trend and peak in January before dropping sharply in February, as the new season is likely to begin then. Table grape prices stayed on a higher level, with the local production volume still not in play, and traded on R89.08 per kilogram. We're however expecting that the local season will start very soon and that prices can drop significantly in December. Pineapples traded lower on R10.98 and lemons increased to R6.36. Meanwhile, the blueberry price increased by 17% to R56 per kilogram. We're expecting blueberry prices to stay lower in November and December. Before we wrap up, I'd like to remind you that there's still space available for sponsorship in our upcoming videos. If you're interested in reaching our audience and showcasing your brand, get in touch now. This video is made possible by Zimmatic Irrigation Systems. I'm Dr. Johnny van der Merwe and thank you for watching.